So, alright guys, we gotta get this one right. On three, we're gonna say welcome back to Extraordinary Thoughts for the Ordinary Mind. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome back to Extraordinary Mind.
And we back.
That'll work right there.
Yeah.
And we back. And we
Yeah.
back. And we back. And
We
we
did our
back. And we
Y'all did y'all best. And that's all that
and
matters.
we
What's going on, everybody? It's that ordinary podcaster with the extraordinary thoughts that tells you to stop being great and be extraordinary. I'm your host, Demetrius Thigpen, also known as Meech Speaks, and welcome back to another episode of Extraordinary Thoughts for the Ordinary Mind. I was sitting back and I was thinking, as I shared pieces of history of the podcast, as we approach the second anniversary, I was thinking like, damn, here we are. I shared the first name of the podcast. What was it? Growing Your Success, Motivation for the Starving Soul. Oh my God, I fucking hate that name. I shared the cover art. I shared the origin of my intro. I shared my first speaking gig. I shared when I became an author. I have many more things to share with you, but there's one thing that I said that I would share, but I never did. A couple of episodes back, I said I would like to, I need to address the elephant in the room, but I want to deal with the bull in my china shop. But now that the bull is out, the elephant done gotten real comfortable, hasn't it? Like the elephant in the room done really gotten comfortable. I'm talking about the elephant done got cable. I'm talking about the elephant brought a couch. The elephant really chilling out. So can we finally address it? Going into season 4, the podcast, I changed the name. I changed the name of the podcast. We started calling it The Real, The Raw, The Truth. And to be honest with you, I feel like that was one of the biggest mistakes that I had ever made. It was really one of the biggest mistakes that I had ever made. And at the time, I didn't think that it was a big mistake. I really didn't think it was a big mistake. I went into it and I was like, damn, Extraordinary Thoughts for the Ordinary Mind. That's such a long name. And plus, people were getting on my nerves with the whole, they would say extraordinary. And I was like, it's not extraordinary. It's just extraordinary. And as I was driving across the country, I was thinking about names. I was thinking about what I should call the podcast. Hell, I even asked y'all. And everybody kept saying it was real. It was raw. It was true. So I was like, fuck it. Let's go ahead and call the podcast The Real, The Raw, The Truth. Now, with that, I went on ahead and changed the cover art. I put me up front. And the reason why I decided to put me up front was because I always took a back seat with the podcast. In a sense, I always felt shy on air. And it's crazy because I'm like 100% transparent. I really get off when I talk. But I felt like as I moved forward, I need to start moving forward as the host of the podcast. So that's why you see me. But we did a couple of episodes of The Real, The Raw, The Truth. And there was a couple of things that I did not like about it. The first one was that when I would go to search for my podcast, 4 other podcasts will pop up. The Real, The Raw, The Truth had been used by like 4 or 5 other people. Not only that, but something just wasn't right. And it wasn't that it wasn't right with me. I mean, with the podcast, something wasn't right with me. During that time, I had just went through like a major depression. And I was trying to find my way out. And as I was getting on air, I just didn't feel comfortable saying, I don't know who needs to hear this, but welcome back to another episode of The Real, The Raw, The Truth. Because I wasn't being real. I was raw, but I wasn't true. I soul searched. I got back to me. I listened to my old episodes. I heard the pain that was in my voice. I heard the praise I would give myself. I heard the accomplishments that I was mentioning. And then I realized why the podcast was called Extraordinary Thoughts for the Ordinary Mind. See, a lot of times we go through life and we say to ourselves that we just ordinary. Now, we may not call ourselves outright just ordinary, but we don't think ourselves is too much. Hell, we ain't trending on YouTube. We ain't trending. We ain't showing up on the Explore page. We ain't on the TVs. You know, we sit back and we say to ourselves that we're not a celebrity. We must just be ordinary people. I'm not John Legend. But we forget that some of the most extraordinary things come from the most ordinary people. I took a break from podcasting, and a lot of people don't know. I actually almost stopped podcasting. I couldn't do it. I feel like I had made such a big mistake, and because of where my mindset was at, I just was like, nah, I don't want to do it no more. It was a good run, but I think we time to close the show out. As I got back to me, I got back to the original name. And I realized, like, we got to move forward. We got to move forward. I share that story with you because a lot of times we think that just because we make one wrong turn that we never are able to get back on the right path. That just because you have one misstep, that all of a sudden that this is supposed to be your life. That just because you made one bad decision that all of a sudden you just you burn one fucking bridge and now all of a sudden you a bridge burner. But that's not it. I want to be the first one to let you know that you can go back to who you were. You can go back to your roots. You can get grounded again. You can keep moving forward knowing that, yes, I made a mistake. Yes, I made this. Yes, I did that. But at the end of the day, I'm back to who I am. Come on now. I bring that up right now because a lot of people don't even understand that you a big fucking flex. Like, for real, you a big fucking flex. You a whole win. And we sit back and we always say to ourselves, like, God, you know, if I could just get a win. If I could just win, if I can just get through this day, God, come on, get me through it. But don't even realize that you've made it through 364 fucking bad days. You gonna make it through this one. Like, I don't think somebody realizes that somebody right now, as we speak, they using you as a reference. They using you as a fucking reference. And when they sit back, they talk about you. They sit back, they brag about you. They brag to others about you. You don't even realize it. They talk about how they know you. They talk about the grind. They talk about the things that you have accomplished. You don't even realize how many people are watching you. Just because they don't say something to you, that don't mean that they're not watching you. Hell, the motherfuckers that walked out of your life, they still brag about how they knew you at one point. And the only thing is that the issue, what it is that the person that they knew, they don't even know that they don't even have access to the version of you now. So all they can sit back and do is talk about a version of you that no longer even exists. Like, I really need you to understand that how much power you got. You are flexing somebody else's story. Like, somebody mentions your name to flex on somebody else just to show that they knew you. Like you came out of a bad relationship. That person tore you down. They sitting back telling everybody that'll fucking listen to them how bad of a person that you was, how you was the villain of that fucking story. Well, we don't even realize that the villain tends to have more character to fucking development than the damn hero do. But they won't mention your growth. They won't mention your accomplishments. They won't mention how they tore you down, but still you rose. They won't mention how they tried to kill you with them hateful words, but yet you still rose. Come on, man. Like, stop playing. Stop playing. I'm talking to the person that used to sit back and couldn't stand to look at themselves in the mirror because somebody was telling them and tearing them down and telling them that they wasn't beautiful. Telling them that they couldn't find nobody better than them. Telling them that nobody would love them. Telling them that, you know, no matter what the situation is, you will always be this person. But yet here you are, a better version of your fucking self. And that person is out of the fucking picture. And yet you have found somebody fucking better. Come on, man. I'm talking to the person that had a good idea but kept getting shot down by motherfuckers that were too much of a coward to believe in their own ideas and fucking sat back and took the beliefs of somebody else, but yet you continue to keep pushing forward, and now your idea has manifested into physical form and created different streams of revenue. I'm talking pretty fast, but I need you to understand that they still just didn't believe in you, yet you still rose. Come on, man. I'm talking to the person that they said, like, oh, you need to go on a diet. You need to, get your body right. You will never be able to do this. You lack discipline. You lack this. You lack X, Y, and Z. But yet here you are. One story I always tell people, right? One story I always tell people is when I joined the military. When I joined, nobody believed in me. Nobody supported my idea. Nobody did. They talked me out of it. They tried to pull me out. They said they tried to tear. I had one person even say that they was going to tear up my contract for me. Yet here it is, 11 years. 11 years later, I can't find a soul to talk me out of getting out of the military. Everybody's quick to say that, oh, this was the best idea that I've ever had. It's weird, ain't it? I remember when I was a young Marine and this sergeant told me that I would never be a bored Marine. I've been on so many boards. I used to ask people to stop pulling me off. I won meritorious sergeant, NCO of the quarter for the meth. I really want people to understand that despite them bad days, and we always sit back and say like, yeah, better days gonna come, but you ain't trying to hear that shit because right now the day that you in ain't the better day. You say that you gonna get a win, and I don't know when you gonna get that win because right now you've been taking a lot of L's. You say that, oh, the sun gonna come up, the sun gonna shine again, but right now it's raining. And you ain't trying to hear none of that shit. But you are gonna win. Matter of fact, you are the win. I met people that have beautiful souls. Beautiful souls. And these souls that I talk to, they tell me stories of how they were broken down, how they were abused, how they had to deal with trauma, yet they still overcame it. Hell, I'm probably talking to one right now. I want to be the first person to let you know as we come to a close to this week may not have been your best week. Monday may not have been the best day. Wednesday felt like it was the biggest hump to get over. Thursday felt like a Friday, but yet here we are on the last day of the week going into the weekend, and you thinking about like, damn, I just need to recharge. Hey man, let me explain something to you right now. You made it to this day. You made it to Friday. You fucking won. You may not be where you want to be, but I can assure you a lot further than where you used to be. Them days where you thought to yourself that depression, oh man, let me just talk about depression real quick. I tend to joke a lot about suicide. I tend to joke a lot about depression, not because I don't take it lightly, but I tend to joke about it a lot because it's something I'm dealing with. And I just don't like to be depressed. I just don't like to let it bring me down. It used to be this run-on joke. I used to say that suicide is on the table. Suicide was always on the table, but one thing that I was always proud about is that I never took what was on the fucking table. That on them days where I felt like I just couldn't get up anymore. Them days where I was just so fucking drained. Them days where I felt like I was on autopilot. Let me rephrase it. I just felt like a fucking zombie as I just meandered throughout the fucking week. I still got through it. Like, applaud yourself from your strength. My single parents out there, I just really want to just take a moment and just talk to you for a second on them days where you just felt like the other parent just ain't picking up shit. Them days that you was stressed out. Them days that you had to make ends meet for the kids. You did that though. You did that though. Them days where you felt like you just couldn't go on, but then you looked over and saw your kids and realized that you gotta keep going. You did that though. Let me talk to the one that's currently in school. You know, them papers that keep adding up, and you keep seeing a couple of acquaintances and friends and people that were close to you. They dropped out of college. People that was telling you saying that, you know, you can get a trade, that college is just a scam, yet you still accomplished it. You graduated, though. Let me talk to the person that joined the military and everybody said don't join X, Y, and Z, yet you still did and accomplished and kept going, though. Look, I don't know who needs to hear this, but despite how hard it's gotten, you still made a way and you still got through it. You keep wondering when you gonna get a win, but don't even realize that you are the win. You a whole fucking flex. Stop playing with yourself. And just like that, another extraordinary thought left this ordinary mind. I hope you enjoyed this episode half as much as I enjoyed making it. Stay tuned Mondays and Fridays. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Meech Speaks. Once again, that's Meech Speaks. Meech is spelled Meech. Don't forget to share this podcast, subscribe to this podcast, follow this podcast, pass this podcast to somebody, because this podcast was dedicated to helping everyone become a better version of themselves. Even though I don't know what that type of version is, I just know that you can be better. Lastly, don't forget to grab your copy of The Extraordinary Thought from the Ordinary Mind, available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. I think there's an electrical copy. You know what it is. Stay hungry, stay motivated. I'm out.